What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by the Adam Meakin, Righteous Force, Paul Hall, Flatzoid, Chocolate Sane and 10th Man, together with a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, hello.
Good morning.
Good afternoon. I missed the link.
Afternoon.
I missed the link. I've been waiting the whole time for it.
You've been sat around and it was already there.
The whole time I've been sitting, waiting and waiting.
You had to scroll up, Flatzoid.
Been a very active chat in Flat Earth terms.
It's all Riley's fault.
What's he been talking about? Let's do it after housekeeping. Any signs of Earth curvature? Any signs at all?
No tangents at all.
No.
Only a refracted horizon.
I was coming to that. Any evidence of a physical geometric Earth curve edge?
Not after 2020.
That'll be a
Any evidence
There's
of...
always atmosphere, correct?
There is always atmosphere, that's true.
So how do they observe a geometric horizon?
Don't know, they're all denying it at the moment, saying it doesn't exist and you can never view it. But then they extrapolate out that its position is based on geometry-based refraction that utilises the R value for the geometric horizon they don't have. It's all very confusing. Anyway, any evidence of axial rotation?
Nope.
You what, Adam?
That was just a straight no.
Oh, hey, Arwin.
Not of the Earth-based anyway.
There's no ranty around at the moment, so it's not of the Earth-based variety because no one's suggesting breasts or bums or anything of that nature. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Nope.
First, I have to know what it is.
It's over there.
Over there. That's very helpful. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Nope. No claimed hypothesis, conceptions, mechanics, no physical proof. I'm getting a feedback here.
Not even the different nations work with each other.
That's your end, Darwin. There's no issue on the stream. Any single viable hypothesis for any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Unless we've had an update from
Gentlemen,
10.
I'm still watching Dr. Becky to see if she's going to bring forth a hypothesis. Just kidding.
Highly unlikely. She's a pseudoscientist.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should invite her to the show one day.
For what? What's she going to give us? An admission that she's a pseudoscientist? We already know.
Well, who knows? Maybe she might be interested in my conceptualizations. of the mistakes of space and how to correct it. Or maybe
Maybe.
she'll totally freak out.
Maybe she'll put you on the payroll.
Oh dear.
Or is that what you're hoping for, Arwen? I could conceptualize this nonsense
yes.
better than you.
Yes, I want to go to that office and let the
Yeah,
computer tell
Arwen.
me I'm going to do
Uh-huh.
science, man. I'm going to do science on those computers. It's going to be awesome.
There was a time, I remember, not in the too distant past, sorry, where Arwen was basically offering his services up to the fundamentalist religious zealots, essentially declaring that he could do a better job than they could, but he wouldn't tell them how unless they paid him.
Very reasonable, Owen.
Offer technically still stands. But with the conditions are pretty damn high. I don't think they're going to go for it unless they have no other choice.
Well, the rate they're going, Owen, I think that could be about back end of next week before you get.
Well, I'll keep tabs on my bank account.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Nope.
No? Any evidence?
Maybe-
Go on.
No, I'm late to the last thing, but I was laughing about what Arvid said because I think he's got something. Maybe he could start a 1-800 help baller hotline and make some money when they get in trouble.
I'm trying to capitalise that at the moment. Share your pain, fundies. Any evidence the R value, Earth radius?
There is a way, isn't there, Nathan, to ease the pain for these funders, and that's just to console yourself by buying a horizon.
Yeah, smash the super chat if you want an apparent horizon. There's plenty available, infinite number, in fact. Last but by no means least, any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container?
Ah! Oh, I had a whole discussion about this in my chat today. The end of the show, you might have noticed, or not. But supposed rockets and their pressure, how it would work. And Professor Phil Bell kind of admitted to me, yeah, propulsion, it doesn't technically work, but it just has its momentum. So then I put down, okay, so you claim that all these space missions, all these supposed explorations and satellites far off, they were basically just shot like a gun, and after it escapes the atmosphere, it can no longer correct its course, except by supposed orbital mechanics. You have to predict everything perfectly because you can't steer the thing. It's crazy. And that's still presupposing a lot, by the way.
Oh, that's all good. Conceptual's fine. Just have to think of it as being real. Just declare it, and apparently that makes it all okay. So big shout out to Dragonfly, who's going to get a horizon 41 pixels below the apparent horizon because it's her birthday. So happy birthday to you, Dragonfly. Thank you very much for the super chat. Really appreciate your support. Happy birthday to you. That concludes the housekeeping.
I would like to
And
say
travel
there's
batteries
only
is-
one swan that rules them all.
Yeah, that's kind of not true, but I appreciate the gag. Maybe that's something we should cover. There's 4 layers to the onion that is what I'm going to call the weaponized Black Swan. And you'll understand why I'm calling it the weaponized Black Swan. That's the overall package. Starting point, layer 1, is the name of the formulation of the argument. Not the argument itself, the formulation. That's called modus tollens. The second layer is the argument itself, which is formulated into modus tollens. So if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every distance to horizon measurement must be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Distance to horizon further than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, therefore Earth is not a sphere. That formulation of that argument is the weaponized Black Swan. Now, alongside that modus tollens formulation of that argument, second layer, you have the third layer, which would be the analogy. The analogy is called the Black Swan. Can you mute your mic if you're not talking, please? I think it's Arwen. You're the only one not on mute. The formulation of the analogy is to assert that, based on physical geometry asserted in regards to the nature of our reality, it is asserted we have a geometric sphere beneath our feet. And that sphere has physicality. And its physicality, therefore, has physical limitations. Now, that assertion is analogous to a white swan. Most photographs being presented being, you come in a garden, this looks like it should be taking place on a sphere, not the pictures we present. So that's your white swan. Then you have a demonstration of something that is, to your average village idiot or somebody who hasn't experienced much of the world, a black swan. Something that doesn't or wasn't considered to be the norm. Presumed to not exist at all. Obviously, the Earth's a sphere and has its physical limitations based on its geometry. So as soon as you show something beyond that physical constraint of geometry, you have what we would analogize as a black swan. So that's layer number 3, the analogy. Noticed we've had 3 layers of this weaponized black swan argument, and we still haven't had any photographs discussed. In other words, you can give the argument, you can explain the logic, and you can give the analogy, black swan, without referencing anything, no pictures. Brings me nicely onto the 4th layer, the evidence that supports the logic. We have singled out a picture by BLMSB69 where it has demarcation points 4, 6 and 9 miles, with the horizon beyond. Therefore, very easy to say the horizon is at this distance. That's why that has been chosen as the specific black swan. There are thousands. The Earth is obviously unobservably flat. Not too difficult to find examples of said fact and formulate them logically, which is what has been done. This was done on the 2nd of January 2020 by Quantum Eraser. Prior to that date, there were many black swans wandering around without anybody noticing them. And occasionally someone would pick them up and say, here you go, look at this bird. And people go, yeah, bird. They go, this bird proves it's flat. And they go, no, it doesn't. And the bird would get released and everyone would move on with their day. And then in 2020, it was formulated into a logical consistency, layer 1, called the weaponized black swan. And then offered up with an analogy, the black swan analogy, followed by evidence to support the logical consistency. So there is more than one layer to the argument that's currently being presented. Unfortunately, there are people on our own side that come across the evidence, see an image with a vague outline of the demonstration within the logical consistency, i.e. the distance to the platforms being laid out, etc., and assume it's just like every other image presented in a similar fashion to date. They have no clue what the logical argument actually is, or the analogy and how it references black swans and white swans. So they say, I understand this argument, seen it all before, there's been loads of pictures like this, nothing's moved on. This is just a rehash of same old blah blah, we need to be doing something different. Well, those are the people that unfortunately ruined my weekend of joy, where everyone was getting the argument and smashing globe heads with it. Now it's at the point where people will declare, I understand this argument. It's old. No, it isn't. Clearly you don't understand the argument, or you'd repeat it at the very least to demonstrate why it wasn't valid, instead of just saying it's an old hat argument, which it most definitely is not. Nobody will show an example of where a modus tollens argument has been formulated with the physical horizon. That simply did not happen until Quantum Eraser did it. So, those of you who are claiming this is just some old argument rehashed, it is not. And the result of this argument, and all 4 layers, that being the logic, the argument, the analogy of a black swan, and the evidence that goes alongside it, are brand spanking new and being utilised to devastating effect, to the point where the people we argue with have to relinquish their own religion, i.e. the geometry I mentioned at the beginning of this long amble, i.e. their physicality of a sphere beneath your feet is what they defend by saying, we don't claim we have a physical geometric horizon. The very premise their religion is based on. That's how devastating this argument is. So, as always, and probably for the next 12 to 18 months, we're going to be sat here telling people, yeah, don't just whistle past this argument. Or if you do, whistle past it and don't make any noise. Another shout-outs to Good Servant. I feel happy about Nathan and the panel members. Well, that's good to know, good servant. I feel happy too. Thank you very much for the super chat. Also, Fat Bike Nomad. Share if you like ballers denying the physical horizon or a physical horizon. Yeah, right on. Exactly. Share if you like hearing fundamentalist globe-tard religious zealots with a model based in physical sphere geometry telling you how non-physical and non-geometric everything is. It's wonderful. Please share the show.
How's the weather over there, Nathan?
Crappy.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's raining.
Cloudy. Right.
I said I still went out. Went swimming today. I say I went swimming. I didn't. I sat in a jacuzzi and watched my kid get a lesson. If I'm strictly accurate about what I actually did today. Normally I swim. It was just very busy. So I sat in the jacuzzi and did nothing. It was great.
Yeah, you got in the pool.
Yeah, I got in the pool, swam over to the lesson area, handed off my kid, swam back out, got in the jacuzzi. It's a relaxing time. Like I say, I said this yesterday. I don't imagine there's going to be tons and tons of fundies coming in to want to tell us how non-geometric the horizon is. No one wants to fall into that bear trap after a few people have done it already a couple of times. They all know what's in for them, so it's fine. The new obfuscation technique. That's all I see when I'm searching these terms to see what people are saying about it. Dare I say it, there does seem to be an element of jealousy amongst our own side. Don't know why. It makes no sense. You know, not my argument. QE's immediately handed it off to everyone else. The people who've got it and gone, well, I can just have this and just call it my own and use it to devastating effect. Mitchell from Australia, massive shout out to you. Just gets it, declares it. It's his argument now, as it bloody should be. If you understand it and can deal out a devastating blow with it, it's your argument.
Yep.
It's taking ownership of stuff rather than just poo-pooing it. It's far more easy to say, yeah, I got this ages ago. Load of old rubbish. We need to do something far more important. Rather than going, how does this argument work? Why is everyone making such a big deal about it? That's what Red Pill Philosophy does, coincidentally. You chatted with Mitchell from Australia about this very subject.
Because you know what you didn't have a couple years ago? You didn't have the Globers saying, we have never seen the geometric horizon, which is a necessity in their model. Right? We've never heard about 3 atmospheres, 5 atmospheres before this argument. So you got to ask yourself, why would all of a sudden now we have to talk about 3, 4, 5 horizons, and that we've never seen the horizon that we apparently can measure to with a calculator? What's going on?
Shout out to Alexander, who says, I'm going to buy a real Black Swan as a pet. I'll use it to scare some globe-believing neighbours. Wink. Thanks for the super chat, Alexander.
I have heard the Globers. Oh, sorry, Wayne. I said I have heard. Oh, I said I have heard. I have heard the Globers say with refraction, you can still calculate where the geometric horizon is, as long as you know what the refraction index is or whatever. I'm going like, really? Okay, cool. How do you validate that if it's not visible, right?
Yeah, another checkmate. Precisely, Paul. Another checkmate. MAUK, thank you very much for the super chat. Says a moment of silence for the globe. It's going to be a quiet week. You know, it's like I say, I've geared myself up for it, so hopefully the conversation won't run too stale and there won't be too many sections of dead air. But like I say, I don't imagine there's going to be lots of people running to this show in this next week at least to come and defend the bullshit and declare they haven't got a geometric horizon. They're not going to want to do that. So just get used to a quiet week, I'm afraid, people.
Yeah, they're all hiding in their corners.
Yeah. Fighting amongst themselves, talking about non-issues. I wonder
how long it's going to take before somebody comes forth and says, yes, the horizon Yeah, it's not a geometrical horizon, but you can think of it as a geometrical horizon. You know,
It's already been said.
take.
Thought experiment.
I was going to say it's already been
We
said.
were already told that.
I need to trim that out, so I will do that at some point. But yesterday, 10th Man just went through it all, cited Andrew Thomas Young in terms of the explanation. You know, you essentially have to give geometric consideration, paraphrased. You will assume physicality when performing a thought experiment with regards to the horizon. In other words, they're telling you like it is, assume this is a physical location.
What was the terminology? Geometric considerations? Was that what? Considerations for a concept.
Got some empty sentiment from the rumpus. Refuting the Black Swan argument is trivial. You and QE don't come out of your bunkers to be annihilated. Your misplaced confidence is delusional and hilarious. Oh, really? Well, then don't worry about it. Well, don't pay it any. Never mind then, rumpus. I wouldn't be too concerned then.
Wow, the apocalyptic
Rumpus.
fantasies here is pretty astounding.
Yeah.
Was it as funny as Rumpus saying, yes, we do have a geometric horizon? No, we don't. Yes, we do. That was you, Rumpus. That's what you sounded like. Would you like to come in here and tell us about it again? Because I'm cool for that.
I'm not. The guy's a liar. He's come in and barefaced lied to us.
Yeah, they're just lying to themselves. You've
Yes.
never argued that it was a physical geometric horizon. So full of shit, Rumpus. It's ridiculous.
Wishful
Sorry.
thinking. That's really all it is. It's just wishful thinking. Yes, this is so trivial. I saw Planner Walk doing a debunk, and his opening was pretty much the same as Rumpus's. So many people have already smashed this into the ground, but I'll give it a cursory glance over anyway. You're like, yeah, wishful thinking, mate. I don't think so.
Planet Walk still needs to figure out what direction the Earth is spinning, supposedly, in his model, so he's got a long way to go.
Really?
Anybody in Discord got some pain to share?
This is so exciting, hey?
So shout out to Reinhardt de Caroline Dispry. Hopefully I haven't butchered that too badly. Globe is officially gone. Globers can now only respond word magic to us, as they cannot address any arguments, nor do they comprehend them. Greetings from Flat Earth Finland, GJ, QE, Nathan, and crew. Thank you very much for the super chat, Roundheart. Really appreciate your support.
Well, don't worry, the ballers in Discord can't understand how how some paths work from east to west. They think left to right to left. That's it.
Left to right, right to left. Isn't it?
That's all they know.
That's ridiculous. Well, technically, the Earth should be spinning counterclockwise if you look at it from the North Pole, as it were, and it were a ball. That's how it's supposed to be spinning, right? Because the sun rises in the east.
The point is, I can stand in one location, and how
Yeah, so-
direction I'm in, I can make it go left to right or right to left in the exact same location.
And how do you do that, Flatsoy?
If you face north, sun always goes east to west, so right to left. Face south, goes east to west, so it'll be left to right.
Ah, so you mean just turn around?
Exactly.
Oh, there you go. Earth rotation debunked.
We familiarise ourselves with this non-issue.
No one claims the geometric horizon is where the apparent horizon is when...
Sorry, we've only got one horizon. We don't have two horizons. We don't have an apparent horizon and a geometric horizon. We just have a horizon. It's just not geometric!
Correct.
So we don't have a geometric horizon on a sphere, Rumpus? And, by the way, the geometric horizon is apparent!
Mute, 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 mute.
Yeah, well then, welcome to Flat Earth. Your model of a sphere Earth requires a geometric horizon to obscure things in the distance, for boats to go over, and to bend at altitude. If you are now disclaiming that we do not have a geometric horizon, then we don't have Earth curve geometry.
I told you 2.5 years ago how this worked, and you didn't remember.
You've just made it plain we don't have a geometric horizon. So what geometric position, moron? You don't have one!
We do.
Oh, so now we do. Only 30 seconds ago, ladies and gentlemen, he made it plain we don't have a geometric horizon, and now we do.
No, we don't have a geometric horizon.
And now we do. We
Just
don't. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Do you realize how many times you've destroyed your own argument today?
So what geometric position, moron? You don't have one!
We do.
Oh, so now we do.
Correct, we don't have a geometric horizon.
So what geometric position, moron? You don't have one!
We do.
Oh, so now we do.
Correct, we don't have a geometric horizon.
Never gets old.
It really doesn't ever get old.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lies and Doublespeak told me to go back to the Isle of Man debate where he made plain that the horizon would loom above the horizon. It was made perfectly clear. Didn't take me very long to find one that basically disclaimed that things in the distance move with respect to the horizon by Rumpus's own definition of looming, which he's been told by Andrew Thomas Young is the incorrect historical term anyway. He's just got to use standard refraction. 7/6 of the radius value that gives you the geometric horizon that you don't have. Oh, well, that doesn't help you. Wow, you must have been really grateful for that conversation with Andrew Thomas Young, Rumpus.
Yeah, good job on flagging him down.
Yeah, like all of the Musa, same principle. He'll help me as he stabs Fight the Flat Earth in the eye with a compass. Oh well, so much for always being right, eh, Rumpus? Sometimes you're just historically wrong, and then can't seem to make up your mind whether we do or don't have a geometric horizon. But this isn't a problem. Clearly a non-issue. So much of a non-issue, they needed to go to Andrew Thomas Young, the alma mater of this bullshit. That's how much of a non-issue it was. Yeah, flag down the dude we're referencing. That's how much of a non-issue.
And then literally got their biggest argument, their biggest go-to argument taken away from them by him. That's gotta hurt.
He's babbling away, typing away like furiously because this is such a non-issue. Not at all triggered.
Oh,
no.
Rumpy.
Oh, non-issue. Why don't you get on with your day, mate? Why are you still in the chat? If this is so much of a non-issue, why are you parroting away your bullshit in the chat? Just get on with your day, mate. Just go and have a cake. Hey, Sleepy Mario.
I've only joined to say one thing to Rumpus whilst he's in chat. Rumpus makes the claim that you can get a theodolite for about £30, take it to the beach, measure the dip angle, and calculate the radius of Earth when looking at the horizon. And I've asked him what horizon is he looking at when he measures the dip angle from horizontal. Now, he has to measure the radius of Earth, right? Or he has to calculate the radius of Earth. So he has to be doing it to the geometric horizon, right? But we know the horizon's not geometric. So what's that going to do to your measurements, your calculations, if you measure the dip angle to the apparent horizon, which could be bloody anywhere, Rumpus? So I'm going to challenge you again, Rumpus, to issue a retraction video where you tell everybody that you were 100% wrong about your claim of theodolites measuring the dip angle to the apparent horizon, because it does not allow you to calculate the radius of Earth at all, and you are incorrect. Look forward to seeing your video, Rumpus.
Good luck.
Well, Riley, I've asked
Ouch.
Rumpus the same thing with my video. I haven't got a response to nothing.
Riley, if
Yeah.
you can't measure the R value by doing the dip, then how do you calculate 7/6 off your refraction? Then?
You don't.
Just assume it.
You don't.
Oh,
If you don't have a geometric R value giving you a geometric horizon, then you're not going to get very far taking 7/6 of that R value that you don't have. But that's what they do. It's ludicrous.
Yeah, of course.
It's checkmate.
Yeah. So
If you haven't got it, just assume it.
Yeah, you can just think of having a radius value because there are fundamentalist religious zealots out there that believe they're standing on a physical geometric sphere despite the fact of being a thought experiment.
or you could assume that the R value will be the same as Venus's. Measure that based on your previous assumptions.
Yeah.
But you still need a radius.
At the bottom of this little house of cards, the bottom card had a big letter R on it. And what's happened is we've yanked out that card with R written on it, and the whole deck of cards is stacked, fallen down, flat. Flat as a pancake, flat as the earth we stand on.
And not only we took away that one, we've also took away things like gravity, because we know that's not a force, it's an effect according to your current science. Not that we're pushing Einsteinian science, Bob, from Globebusters. We're just trying to tell them what their science is telling people, because people in this topic tell people that gravity is a force. Well, the rest of mainstream science tells everybody else that gravity is an effect of the curvature of space-time. And guess what? We know what causes it. The uneven distribution of mass. But everybody like Simon Dan and Fight the Flat Girth tell people that gravity's still a force. It isn't a force. Even if you can think of it as one, it still isn't one because it can't cause anything. It's an effect on your model, but your model, the heliocentric model, is inconsistent with that, isn't it? And we've yanked that one away from you as well. And there's another couple of words that you're not allowed to use anymore, like gas pressure. Can't use that one anymore, can you? That requires a container and you haven't got one. What other words can't they use anymore, guys? I'm sure there's about 6.
Coriolis.
Oh yeah, Coriolis. You can't use that because that only applies to a rotating reference, a rotating something, and you got to have 2 frames of reference. You can't use Coriolis anymore. It doesn't exist. Come on, Nathan. You must know some more.
I was going to do a shout out actually. I'll wait till this little back and forth is over and then I'll do my shout out.
I'm pretty much done. I just want to remind people that Rumpus was 100% wrong with his claim that a theodolite cannot allow him to calculate the radius of Earth because he's aiming it and measuring the dip angle to the apparent horizon. And the radius is obviously based on the geometric size, and they haven't got a geometric horizon. They tell us they have, but they can't see it.
Why is
so
that?
How are you going to measure it?
And why is that? Because apparently they've never seen the geometric horizon. So my question is, again, what the hell are we calculating for in the calculators? What's that for?
So Rumpus, has he drawn a tangent yet for me?
Yeah, you can't draw a tangent to an apparent horizon, can you, Rumpus?
Yeah, they can't trust in R anymore. In
What
conclusion,
the
where we declared previously that they could declare their trust in R and that would be all good, from there on in, there's no longer any trust that you can have in R. It's completely untenable. So, are you around, Adam?
Yeah. It's on mute, sorry.
How many shows have you had on TFR?
What, the boys, really? Oh, 1.5, 2 a week. 100 odd.
100. Not bad. Better than I was expecting you to say, to be perfectly honest. One of your counterparts, Jeranism, is celebrating his 200th weekly show. So Monday Night Raw, this Monday, is going to celebrate its 200th show. Now, considering it's a weekly show, that's a pretty monumental amount of time. So big shout out to Jeranism for celebrating his 200th Raw on TFR Radio. Check it out. Very cool.
That's what's up. Come up to 4 years then, isn't it?
It's a long old time. I remember him doing the first one.
Yeah, shout out, Jared. Wicked stuff.
Yeah, definitely a labour of love.
Shout out.
I think, these You see, he's asked for a few messages as well, so I've been pondering that, mate, what to say, because he is a top bloke, is Jaron, and I was lucky enough to get to meet him in Amsterdam, and yeah, good bloke to wander around the streets with. It was a genuine bloke. I do like Jaron, and I think what he's done for the community, and like you say, that's one hell of a landmark, and a hell of a lot of people he's reaching. So shout out, mate. Respect.
Let me just address the rumpus in chat. He says, Sleeping Warrior, in benign conditions and from high elevation, the apparent horizon is close to the geometric horizon. It is very easy. Doing observation from a mountain will do the same trick. Will do the trick easy. Problem is, rumpus, if you get above the clouds, say you stood on Everest at 30,000 feet, and you're well above the clouds, looking down on the clouds, right? You're looking down into a dense medium from a less dense medium, right? The horizon, aside from being below the clouds, is going to be lower than what it should be because you're looking through into a more dense layer of the gradient. That's still going to give you an apparent position of the horizon, and it isn't going to give you an actual one, is it? It's still going to be subject to the gradient that you are actually looking down into rather than looking through at the same gradient level when you're at the beach. So no, rumpus, that won't work either on your model. Next.
Again, how would he even know if it was close to the geometric horizon if they've never seen it? Joke.
Remember that song? What the hell are we waiting for? We can reapply the words. We can say, what the hell are you calculating for? Because there's nothing there, guys.
There's no musicians in your family, eh?
Nothing.
Can't Rumpus come and talk of it?
It would be, what the hell are you measuring?
It's no fun anymore, is it? So just wait. Diddle-a-da. Rumpus, we're back at a time where you can measure the horizon with theodolite. Come on.
Back in the day when it almost seemed plausible when you said you were 100% right. And now you seem to be proven 100% wrong 100% of the time. It's pretty tragic. Do you still say all horizons are apparent, Paul Driver? Yeah, by definition. Yeah, this idea of giving an extra word to something that is already by definition apparent is redundant. It's just what you fundies do because you need two now. So you've invented this extra one, the apparent horizon, which is also defined as the geometric horizon by definition. So your horizon is also apparent. A geometric horizon is apparent based on height. That's why you fundy spend so much time analysing the height of stuff, because that is how your apparent position is formed, where the physical geometric edge of the sphere appears to meet the sky. Now, obviously, the ground doesn't touch the sky. Obviously, it's just apparent. It's still physical and geometric in your maths, though. You just don't get it, Paul. You fundy idiot.
One
Go on, Platsoid.
One question: Did Aristophanes ever account for refraction in his so-called experiment that's not experiment?
I don't know. I never met him. Anybody else hear me?
Because there's always atmosphere, so I'm just wondering.
Them giving up geometry, it means everything crumbles around them. There isn't many examples you'll find around the assertion that we're standing on a physical sphere that won't fall apart when they relinquish their geometry and suddenly start talking about how stuff's apparent. apart from the sizes and physicality of their geometric myths that they've been using for the last 5 years, that's still the same. The physical geometric assertions they make about the physical sphere we're supposed to be standing on, they'll always remain the same. The fact that they say, oh, we don't assert that we've got a physical horizon. All right. No boats going over it, not bending into a circle at altitude, not obscuring the Isle of Man and the beach. No, you didn't argue that. Yeah, we know you did. We've got it all on record. You bunch of liars. It's just your model falling apart around you and you lying your heads off to try and prevent it happening. It's great.
That's just my point. How do you work out the radius using light if you don't take refraction into account?
Hold up, Nath. I'm just checking chat, mate, and I think we could be getting a bit cocky here. I'm just going to let this comment go from Wheelie Slots. Soon we will have space travel to the public, and when that happens, you will all be made to look stupid. Just
Wow.
maybe hold the confidence, guys, because
How about whoever that was? Let us know when that happens, and we'll get back to him.
Sure, that's a
shouldn't we
fallacy.
have that by now?
Isn't that a
Shouldn't
fallacy?
be a holiday on the moon.
Isn't that appeal to the future fallacy or something similar? I can't remember the exact term for it, but that is a fallacy.
Richard Branson fallacy.
Yeah, the Richard Branson / SpaceX / anybody else who's claimed that they're going to be taking private enterprise into the second law of thermodynamics sky vacuum, which can't possibly exist.
Liam, you can get an answer for the radius of the Earth within a few % of the correct answer by measuring the dip angle. If that was true, Rumpus, on that oil platforms, you know, the one where we've got quite good visibility and the horizon's way beyond the platforms. If you measure the dip angle to the apparent horizon on that, it would be like 10 times bigger than Jupiter or something like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
How would you work that out with your claim that you can use a theodolite to calculate the radius of Earth based on the dip angle when you're not measuring the dip angle to the actual geometric horizon, you fool?
Yeah, give us the percentage between what you claim is the actual physical geometry that you're within a few % of and that Black Swan image. I wonder if that's within a few %. I think you're just lying, Rumpus. That or you're stupid. Hold on, let me berate him. Either you're stupid or you can't do maths, or you're lying. So, stupid maths failure. You think that Black Swan horizon's within a few %? You complete idiot. Oh, go and learn maths, you moron. That's not within a couple of %, you stupid idiot. It's so way beyond your geometric certitude and physicality that you need. It's beyond a joke. Go and learn maths, moron.
Hey, Rumpus, I've got a challenge for you. If you claim that the theodolite could get it within a few %, demonstrate the percentage based on that Black Swan's photo of the dip angle to the horizon, and let us know that the actual distance, you could backwards calculate the maths. Tell us what the dip angle would be, given them where the horizon appears to be behind the platforms, and then tell us how big the Earth should be based on that measurement. Shout out to Jupiter.
He says he won't. He wouldn't do it in such conditions. Why not? So what? It's not that accurate on those conditions. So any other day that it's within the parameters you need it to be, it'll be within a couple of %. That sounds like cherry picking.
Wait, I thought nobody understood refraction like Rumpus.
Texas sharpshooter, basically. Yeah, put the ring around the grouping that best suits you to be a good shot. Right? So not going to take that measurement. What? Because it wouldn't be within a couple of %, you lying bastard. Yeah, we know. Texas sharpshooter fallacy. Only take the measurements that are conducive with your geometric reification, rather than the ones that we're showing you that don't match, and suddenly the conditions aren't conducive. Yeah, Texas sharpshooter, mate.
You're not shooting very sharply.
I don't have the gun loaded.
Yeah, they're firing off blanks left and right. In fact, not only are they firing off blanks, they're firing off blanks that are backfiring the shell back into their faces. Well, that was fun. I quite enjoyed berating Rumpus.
do.
Oh, so now we do.
Correct, we don't have a geometric horizon.
That's right.
I love it. I love it
Welcome
when
to
it just
Flat
comes
Earth.
out of nowhere. We do.
So what geometric position, moron? You don't have one.
We do.
Oh, so now we do.
Correct, we don't have a geometric horizon.
It never gets old.
In the same breath.
In the same breath.
What's great is he says, you say, so now we do. Directly after that, he says, correct. So we don't have one. Like, are they even paying attention to the words that come out of their mouth?
Does not
Remember
compute.
chocolate?
Does not compute. Fire off sparks, smoke coming out of the machine. That's what's happening.
Remember, chocolate, air is not atmosphere.
Yeah, air is not the atmosphere. Second law of thermodynamics, does it apply to the earth? Yeah, Rumpus, you're just full of hits, bro. Keep him coming.
So, Anthony. And
Yes.
can we continue the conversation we had before I went swimming?
What was that? Oh, gyroscopes.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do you want to start?
I want to start where I assume the outcome you're trying to achieve by sending a gyroscope to Australia, which is to say that I would automatically give them their assertion that it is drifting, regardless of what the mechanics or optics or whatever is being used in the gyro is. I would say immediately give them the concession. In other words, take it at face value that they assert Earth has Coriolis effect, which is what is being demonstrated in a pendulum or gyroscope if they claim it drifts. That drift is asserted to be the cause thereof is Earth turning underneath the fixed frame or the swinging frame of a gyro or pendulum. So if you take that assertion as the first starting point, so we have a demonstrated or claimed demonstrated effect of Coriolis. If Earth is spinning underneath the fixed frame of the gyro or the pendulum, then it also must rotate underneath anything that leaves the frame of reference that is claimed to be the spinning Earth. Ergo, you must have deviation in drones, helicopters, planes, anything else that leaves the non-inertial spinning reference frame. If you've got Coriolis, or to put it another way, if you've got Coriolis effect, you've got Coriolis effect, and you must have Coriolis effect. We don't, though. This is all laid out by Brian Mullen.
Background.
Again?
We need a bit of background test. It comes from Stefan from FE Core's gyroscope. And basically what he wanted to do was demonstrate whether or not Earth turned. And he needs to send it over to Australia to rule out the fact that the claim, the possibility that the drift that he thinks he's measuring or observing is actually being caused by the gyroscope itself. And he doesn't want to do it. But it would be the ideal opportunity to prove how brilliant his gyroscope is, because if it did actually turn backwards the way that it should do, if it's upside down relative to where it was when he tested it in Austria, then at least it proves that it's not within the gyroscope itself. It doesn't prove what is doing it, but it does prove what's not. In other words, the gyroscope itself. And he still doesn't want to do it. Just trying to persuade him to get on a plane and take it manually himself. But
well, if he understands the argument, which I believe I laid out to him on Globebusters, personally, he was there, then he would understand that doing that would be futile. All it would do is assess the quality of his gyroscope. That's all it would do. In other words, I'm more than happy to say, yeah, okay, you say that a gyro spinning in its fixed plane of reference has the mechanism that's attached to it move because Earth's moving underneath. That's what they claim. Or, in the case of the Foucault pendulum, the pendulum swings back and forth, straight, line, back, forth, but because Earth's rotating underneath, it knocks over the little dominoes. So you've got a Coriolis effect. Well, if you've got a Coriolis effect because Earth's rotating underneath, it's always going to demonstrate that. Fait accompli, it must. So, without having anything else that's actually demonstrating Coriolis effect, especially things with a large hang time, the assertion that you're trying to prove or disprove by way of utilising a begging the question fallacy, if Earth is turning, formulating and affirming the consequent, which is to say, if I observe my Earth turn in the gyro, then I've got Earth turn, affirming the consequent, logical fallacy. And you're saying I can disprove the premise which is already fallacious by disproving that it doesn't drift. But the premise it's based on is fallacious to begin with. So it is completely futile. Pointless.
Well, it's only futile from that perspective. The perspective where it's not futile is Stefan's perspective, which is that it is measuring drift. And I would say, well, what's it measuring drift of, Stefan? And he thinks it's either ether or earth, but he doesn't think it's his gyro. Now, I'm not saying in any way that his gyroscope's defective or crap or anything like that. What I'm saying is, at least if he sent it over to Australia and see what happens if he put it there, he would be able to rule out his gyro, and he would be able to confirm it's one or the other, ether turn or something else, or earth turn or whatever, because it would do the opposite in Australia.
Why would
But
it?
He doesn't want to do that.
Why would it? Because you've based this on a fallacious premise.
No, because I based it on his assertion that it's measuring drift.
Well,
And
it
I say,
isn't.
oh, what? And he doesn't consider that his gyro might not be the thing causing it.
Okay, I'll start out where we had this conversation earlier. You say drift, and the gyro does drift. I've watched his video. So the gyroscope drifts. That's wonderful. So what? Oh, what's that you say? If I assume Earth's causing it, and I send it to Australia to disprove it, but disprove what? Your assumption that you made at the beginning of that statement before we just had gyro drifting.
No. To disprove his belief that it's measuring drift of something that he thinks is not within the gyroscope itself. There's three causes, right? Maybe Earth's turning, maybe something else is, or maybe the gyroscope's causing it for some other unknown mechanical or engineering reason, who knows? But to rule out the fact that the gyro might be causing it internally within the structure, send it to Australia and see what it does. If it goes backwards, it's not the gyro that's causing it, something else is. But if it goes the same as it does in Austria, then it means that the gyro is causing it, because anything else is not influencing it.
I heard this morning, I heard this both times. But what I'm saying is clearly falling on deaf ears. So I think we'll just draw this conversation to a close. We'll have this conversation again. I know you're getting into Coriolis, and hopefully, because I'm holding my head right now. I mean, literally, because I hate the subject. If I can offload it on you, my God, I'd love to. Coriolis is a horrible subject to argue. You're laughing because you offloaded it on me.
What are you talking about? Just come in. What do you want?
Coriolis is evil. It is
Coriolis is evil. Yeah.
Coriolis effect. If I just say, start quote, Coriolis effect, end quote. That is really simple. Really, really simple. It's an observation of an apparent deviation because you remain on a non-inertial spinning reference frame and something leaves it. That's Coriolis effect. It's really straightforward. But as soon as you have fundamentalist religious zealots that have an Earth that's not demonstrating any Coriolis deviation whatsoever, asserting that mechanical instruments they've produced in the form of gyros and pendulums show this effect that's not experienced anywhere on Earth ever, suddenly we've got to justify why the machine does or doesn't have the effect that we never experience on Earth ever. And argue about why we don't experience the effect ever if we're in argument with fundies. Like, the whole premise of this argument is that we definitely have a Coriolis effect, and therefore it definitely be observable. It's modus ponens. If P then Q, P therefore Q. If Earth's turning, we'll have a Coriolis effect. Earth's turning, so we've got a Coriolis effect. What's that? We don't. Okay. Well, then we don't have a Coriolis effect. Because we must if we do, and we don't. So we haven't. We're not turning.
But we do.
But we do. The reason we don't see it in a helicopter is because Earth and an atmosphere are velcroed together, even though there's no intermolecular bonds between any of the gas particles. It's not attached to Earth in any way, shape or form, and you haven't got a force that's attaching them. But either way, that's why we don't have the effect that we're supposed to be arguing to prove Earth spins. So let's argue for the next 20 minutes about why we don't have Coriolis effect and what's causing us not to have this effect that's supposed to prove we spin. Yeah, that sounds like a fun argument.
Or we could just measure it.
Measure what?
Well, let me give you an example. So I measured my table, the leg on my table. So how do I know I didn't measure my neighbor's dog's leg?
You've got the
This
table
is
leg
the
in your
level
hand.
that we're
You're
at.
stupid.
It's a different kind of measurement.
This
How are
is
you
the
gonna measure?
level the ballers' arguments are, folks.
Yeah,
Listen
this
up.
is-
That's basically what you guys are saying.
No, we're not.
Did you really
You're
just say
saying
if
we
I
took
measure my table,
measurement,
how do I
what the
know
measurement
I
is
didn't
up.
measure my neighbor's dog's leg? Bro, are you smoking something?
Yeah, I mean, so
He's got
Bob
issues.
Nodell took a measurement of an object affixed
Bro, go
to
have
Earth.
a coffee or something, man.
And what you're saying
Like,
is,
seriously.
how do we know
Come back
he
with
didn't take the
something.
measurement of the affixed object on Earth and it wasn't the measurement of something else? That's
Okay, let me tell
exactly
you.
what you're saying.
I'll tell you. So, if, as you are asserting, the measurement that was performed in the fiber optic gyro was a 15-degree deviation because Earth rotated underneath the fiber optic gyro in its fixed reference frame, that would be your assertion.
No, it's attached there.
I hadn't finished. My bad. Is your attention span that short? No worries.
Well, you
Give
misstated.
up.
You
I give up.
stated the
Interrupting me. I'm asking
setup.
sarcastically if his attention span's that short, and he demonstrates it absolutely is. So you're too stupid to understand this. You can't help but talk when I'm halfway through an explanation.
You stated it properly, Nathan.
I
The
repeated
object
your
was
claim.
affixed to Earth.
All I did so far was repeat your claim that Bob Nodell proved Earth spins and explain to the audience how that assertion is made. That's all I've done. And before I'm finished debunking it, you're interrupting me. Like now. So you're too dumb
Explaining it
to
improperly.
even accept me summarising your batshit crazy position. You won't even let me do that without interruption, let alone debunk it, which I can if you'd let me. But you won't.
I'm not gonna let you
You'll
go.
squirm like
man.
you're doing now,
You didn't
because you're a
say that.
squirming
That
little
was-
fundy that's probably heard me debunk it multiple times, and you know what's coming. That's why you're talking.
You're building a straw man, Nathan.
I haven't done anything. I've summarised your point. I haven't done anything except summarise your point. Is your point a straw
You
man?
said that the Earth was
This is
rotating
pathetic.
underneath.
I haven't done anything.
Gyro.
I've summarised his bloody
This is
point.
all you
And now
got.
he's got verbal diarrhea. I've done nothing but summarise your point, you moron.
Okay, as long as we understand that the gyro was affixed to Earth, it wasn't rotating underneath it.
Sorry, what's deviating at 15 degrees an hour?
The Earth rotates at about 15 degrees per hour, Nathan.
That's what I just said. Your assertion in the gyro is that Earth rotates underneath. That was my summary of your position. Now I'm going to debunk it. Shut the fuck up! Shut up! If Earth rotates...
No, thank you.
See, these bastards, right? I've just got 2 words out of my debunking. All I've done is summarise his stupid position that claims a gyro proves Earth turns underneath. That's all I've done. I've got 3 words out of my debunking. He's interrupting me. Because these bastards know what's coming. They know I'm going to annihilate his position, but he won't accept me actually speaking, let alone tolerate the full rendition of the debunking. That's why he's talking now. I'm pointing out that you bastards do not want to listen to the debunking. You want to call my summary of your position a straw man before I've even debunked it. You don't even realise when I'm summarising your position rather than actually smashing it to pieces. Now, with 1 minute left, I'm going to debunk it. If Earth is rotating underneath the fixed frame of a gyro at 15 degrees an hour, as asserted by this moron, then it's also rotating underneath aeroplanes, drones, or anything that leaves the non-inertial spinning reference frame. Now, while I've calmly and concisely said this, I know for a fact that an orthodox is talking through me the entire time I'm saying it because I'm watching his line. So I know I'm going to round the show out. I've got to close the lines down to round the show out. But an orthodox thinks in his stupid fuckwittery that he can talk through this debunking because that's his only technique to obfuscate the point. won't let me point out that Earth would also rotate underneath anything else that's not in the non-inertial spinning reference frame, a la the gyroscope. That's not in the spinning reference frame, not attached. It's spinning in free space. Gyros don't move, that's their point. But the gimbal's attached, and Earth's rotating underneath the gyroscope, because the gyroscope's demonstrating two separate reference frames, a Coriolis deviation of 15 degrees an hour. If you've got a Coriolis deviation in a gyro, you're also going to have it in anything that leaves the non-inertial spinning reference frame, like a ball, like a bullet, like a plane, like a drone, like a helicopter, or anything else that leaves. That must also have Earth rotating underneath it. It doesn't, because if it did, any plane that was travelling east, like a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to LA, would be reduced from 4.5 hours down to about an hour and a half, because Earth's rotating underneath, as claimed by the gyroscope. We don't observe planes with reduced flight times and not reaching their destinations when travelling west near the equator because of the vast speeds of the Earth rotating underneath. We don't experience that. We don't have a Coriolis deviation. And no matter how many times you try and talk through me, Unorthodox, I've closed your line, you stupid moron. And with that, I'll say if you're watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on the Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, this is where I bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Also, of course, a massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making the live show possible. Stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!